Hello again. We will pick back up here in Luke chapter 17. We'll be in just verses 1 through 10. It's fairly quick, but we'll read through these here and then we will discuss them together. So, Luke 17, verse 1. Then he said to the disciples, "It is impossible that no offenses should come, but woe to him through whom they do come. It would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and were thrown into the sea, than that he should offend one of these little ones. Take heed to yourselves. If your brother sins against you, rebuke him. And if he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times in a day, and 7 times in a day returns to you saying, 'I repent,' then you shall forgive him." So, just as a stop here, what Jesus is saying, number one, is that it's impossible, right? That offenses aren't going to come to us, right? But what he's telling us, on one hand, is don't be easily offended by everything, right? Our joy, our knowledge, our wisdom, our faith is in the Lord, right? And our knowledge in him, in the word, not in things around us, right, in the people in the world. And so don't be easily offended. But I should say not and, but woe to him who is the offender, right? That's what that first verse is talking about here, is that don't be the person who causes offenses. And this doesn't mean not to to call out sin, right? It says, "Your brother sins against you, rebuke him," right? This doesn't mean not to call out sin. This doesn't mean to just simply be compliant and peaceful with everything, right? He's talking about don't cause offense, as in it's how you say something, the way you say something. Are you speaking in love, right? Are you speaking from the word, or are you speaking out of selfishness, right? And so it kind of like the saying that you can love the sinner but hate the sin, right? And so you still speak with love to the person, right? We just rebuke and reject the sin, okay? But we don't offend the person. So I hope that makes sense. And of course, he says, if they come to you asking for, and repent, asking for forgiveness, then you forgive them, right? The same as he calls us to do, that we come to the Father and we repent. And each time we repent, he forgives us, right? And so let's move on here to verse 5. "And the apostles said to the Lord, then increase our faith. So the Lord said, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you can say to this mulberry tree, be pulled up by the roots and be planted in the sea, and it would obey you. And which of you, having a servant plowing or tending sheep, will say to him, when he has come in from the field, come at once and sit down to eat? But will he not rather say to him, prepare something for my supper, and gird yourself and serve me till I've eaten and drunk, and afterwards you will eat and drink? Does he thank that servant because he did the things that were commanded of him? I think not. So likewise, you, when you have done all those things which are commanded, say, we are unprofitable servants. We have done what was our duty to do." So this is a little interesting here, and just kind of how it's worded, right? Is that they're asking him to increase their faith. Okay, right after talking about being offended, essentially most people are easily offended, right? And so right after we're talking about don't offend others and don't be easily offended, okay, well then increase our faith, right? Essentially so that we're not going to be offended, or we know how not to do it, right? And of course he says, if you had faith as a mustard seed, right, this would be possible. But what he's telling them though is that our faith is increased by exercising the faith you already have, right? He's not just going to hand it over to them, okay? And so we do this, right? So we serve unto the Lord, right? We do each job as if we're doing it unto the Lord, okay? We serve God through his word, right? Through the job that is given to us is our job, right? It is expected of us, and we serve him with that job, okay? And so, in other words, we don't expect something for doing something. If God has gifted us or granted us, right, a particular job, duty, ability, whatever it may be, right, then we use that to serve the Lord, right? We don't do it to have something in return, right? Thus being increased in faith, right? Or in value or knowledge or whatever it may be, to get a thanks or to get, something in return for doing a favor for somebody, right? If you're doing a favor for them by using the gift that God has given you, then you are serving God, right? And so each time we serve God, do we want God to say thank you, right? Let's think about that. And that's a little bit humbling. We tend to be a little bit sensitive when we do things. Am I saying don't be polite? Right. And being polite is different, right? If we thanked somebody, our kids, our people, our spouses, for every single tiny little thing, right? Number one, it devalues them, what they're doing, and it changes the expectation of what they're doing as if they're doing something that wasn't already expected, right? As a rule of the home, as creating a household, right? Things of that nature. And so it's when people typically go above and beyond or do something on a personal level that we thank them. And so this kind of puts us in the right state of mind for offering and receiving those thanks, right? That just imagine God has given you a gift, whatever that may be, right? The job that you have on this earth, and you're a believer and follower of Him. And so you do this job to glorify Him, right? You want people to see Christ in you when you're doing your job, right? Because that's what it's about. It's not about, oh, you're so great at this. It's, God has given me this ability to do this, and I want to do it to honor Him, right? So genuinely, I ask you to think about, do you expect God to say thank you, right? We would think that would be absurd. And if you don't, I hope you do now, right? That, God, you have allowed me to do, such thing, right? And, now I'm going to use this gift to honor you. And He just says, thank you every time, right? Like, that's not what it's about, right? At the gate, right? When God speaks to us, is He going to say, thank you so much, my good and faithful servant? No, He says, well done, right? Well done. He can recognize that we used our gift, right, to honor Him or for the goodness of His kingdom, right? But He's not just groveling, oh, thank you so much for, for serving my kingdom, and thank you for doing for me, even though I already did for you, right? Like that just, it doesn't make sense. So I hope that kind of rewires our thinking around where we give thanks, where we give honor, where we give credit, right? Because it belongs to the Lord, right? And so that would also go to when someone else, maybe another Christian or even a non-Christian, who says thank you to you, right? Are we receiving that thanks in self-admiration and self-pleasure, right? Or are we receiving that thanks in honoring the Father? It is because of Him that I'm able to do this. I am happy to do it for you as God has given me this gift or this talent, etc. So I just hope that kind of settles on you and resonates, kind of gives us all something else to think about. But that wraps up verses 1 through 10, and I'll see you again soon.